All right, welcome back to another special bonus episode of Small Guys Podcast. We want to try doing these once or twice a month, just depending. Dropping them on Tuesdays usually is the plan. So if you're hearing this, this is what this is. Uh, I before getting into it, we got recommended this movie by a listener, Self Reliance. I'll give the description to it. Do you know the person's name, or can you pull it up while I give this thing, Andrew?
Uh, yes.
Given the opportunity to participate in a life or death reality game show, one man discovers there's a lot to live for. This movie has a 72% critic score, 62% audience score. It's a comedy mystery thriller. It's about an hour and a half. It is a Hulu original. Now, I want to say Jake Johnson directed it. He wrote it. He stars in it. He produced it, which is really funny because we just did Maestro where Bradley Cooper did all that stuff. Now, the difference is this isn't an Oscar-nominated movie. But I will say it's still very talented no matter what. So that's a lot.
No, I totally agree with you. The guy's name, by the way, that recommended this, I don't know if we want to, throw out his full name, but it was his name's Zach. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Shout out Zach. I didn't know if it was. I didn't know if it was like a gamer tag YouTube name, something like that. So
no,
shout out Zach.
He had his first and last name in there, but we'll just go with Zach. So that way we're not doxing him and giving away his information.
Right.
But no.
Yeah, and I want to say too, if you're listening to this on YouTube or follow us on Instagram, whatever it is, and you want to recommend a movie for us to do that we haven't done already, recommend it and we'll check it out. So that's what Zach did, and
you can, and they can throw it anywhere, on Instagram, on YouTube. Zach actually, in this case, used the preferred method that I've seen once more before. On our website, actually, there's a little section. The website needs some updating, but the section that says contact us, there's a little box for recommend a movie, and that goes right to us. When you fill it out, you don't even have to put your first name. You can just type in a movie, and we'll get that.
Yeah, which is awesome, and shout out Zach because we're 151 episodes in, I think, and this is probably the one movie where I went in the most blind that you possibly could. I knew nothing, who was in it, nothing, and honestly, this movie came out January 3rd of this year, in limited release, and I thought Self-Reliance was maybe a movie in the 90s, early 2000s. I had no clue. So I clicked on it, and right away you see in the picture of the movie Jake Johnson, who I'm a huge fan of. I love New Girl. I've seen it multiple times. I love Let's Be Cops. He's in that. That's one of my favorite comedies. Spider-Verse, obviously. The guy is just charismatic. He's funny. He's smart. I've seen a lot of interviews he's been in. I'm a huge fan of him. So the fact that he did a movie where he stars, directs, writes, produces, and I didn't know about it, that's on me, right? So I'm happy to have watched this, and so I wanted to say that off the bat there.
Gotcha. No, I think that's. I mean, and this is one that I didn't even was definitely not even on my radar to watch. So I'm happy that I got to check it out, and short too, hour 29, I think.
Yeah. Right under the 90-minute mark.
Yeah, which was cool to see because I've got the patience of a squirrel, so I could actually sit down and do hour 30. But the one thing I wanted to point out right away with this movie, kind of jumping into it, this is classified as a comedy, and I kind of get it, but also at the same time, I feel like the concept is a little dark to be a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But it is comedic. It has its laughable moments, or it's goofy enough. But I mean, the movie is, as I think you already mentioned that, Josh. But it's about a guy who's participating in a game for $1 million. He kind of gets scammed to stay alive if he's not, but the catch is someone has to be around him. It could be a stranger, it could be a family member. And, you first hear this, and I thought about it. I was like, would I do that? It gets you thinking. I don't know if I, would you? I think I might.
Yeah, it's interesting
it doesn't
because
sound that hard.
Right. Yeah. He's being hunted by people around the world too,
Yeah,
and it didn't really take him too long to think about it. But yeah, I mean the reason he gives later on in the movie, it being he wanted to be around other people and that being his goal, I think it did make sense as to why he wanted to do it. Now me probably wouldn't have done it.
I think I might have done it, but I don't even
Really?
have that. Like, I don't even have that goal in mind to be around other people. I just think like that's not that hard,
Right.
especially if you have a
Well,
significant other.
yeah. Well, dude, it's the
That
fact
work?
too. It's like if they get up to go pee, if you
Yeah,
have to go
that's
take a
true.
shower, you get sick of being near someone for that long. And in his case, he had a couple different people with him um, at certain points throughout the 30 days. But
Yes,
you know, for maybe me or you trying to do it, that would be a lot. And then too, it's like, how do you convince someone that everything you're saying is true and they should stick
I
with you for those 30 days? That's
I
the hard part.
really liked that aspect of this movie that they make him look crazy. I mean, throughout it,
Right.
right off rip when they kind of introduce introduce the idea of the whole thing. He's telling his family, and I'm thinking like the same thing. I'm like, how do you tell your family that you're you have the capability of winning $1 million if you stay alive, but you're going to be hunted and there's going to be. I love when later in the movie when he's like he's at the intervention, kind of jumping around here, but
Mm-hmm.
he's they're going to do an intervention. He's looking outside and he's like, "Don't turn around, it's a ninja." Like, no, like you sound insane.
Yeah, and he's
Which
like,
I
before she even turns, he's like, as soon as you turn around, you're not going to see him, and I'm going to look crazy.
yeah, which I appreciated that. I thought that was funny. And it would be hard to convince people that I
Yeah,
anyone that told you that, you would tell them that they need to like seek medical help.
right.
Now that I've seen this movie, I might believe them.
Yeah, I mean, so like just on the comedy aspect of things, I would say all the James parts were just hilarious. I loved James as a character, just having him be his homeless best friend, to pay him $100 to stick with him every day. We figured out his name is Walter, right? Um, but
Yes, yeah,
I
his
liked his
name is
character a
Walter.
lot. Yeah. And then I like the scene where he's at his family's house, his mom's house, and he's just shouting at the cameras, saying that he's gonna kill Andy Sandberg, put his head on a spike. That whole like rant was hilarious. A lot of just different parts that was just really funny when he starts talking shit to the guy who's dressed like Mario in the at the motel. Things like that. It was just like completely unexpected, but it is funny. And so those moments made me laugh because honestly, when you hear the description for this movie and what the premise is, you'd think it's a horror movie. A
Yeah,
man who's being hunted the entire time. And it's like a lot of anxiety because he's constantly being watched. Um, Now, Andrew, I want to ask you something because I thought about this after I finished it. And I don't know if this is a theory online. It could be, or
hmm
maybe it's clear that a clear answer, and maybe I missed it. It's possible this is in his head.
yes.
It's
I
possible the
actually
show's not
wanted to
real at
bring
all.
I wanted
Okay.
to bring that up as well because I thought the same thing even with the ending because we don't get a confirmation, and actually maybe it was just creative play with the music,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if you listened at the end there. He was just he
When he knocks on the
he
door.
was yeah, he's knocking on the door there, and that's actually
Mm-hmm.
part of the ending music, and it's just constant knocking. So it's like, was he knocking for nothing? Was there no one
Mm.
ever even there?
Oh wow.
Was she not real? I don't know if you caught that. Like the music at the end, like that whole like end credits is just the knocking noise. It
Well, so when
transitions
he
really
started,
well.
yeah, when the credits popped up, I didn't even listen to that. I skipped to the end just to make sure. You never know nowadays with the credit scenes. I wanted to make sure because I didn't know. And this is easily a movie that could have had another 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it's very short in a movie length. So I was like, but I think maybe that's the whole reason, right? Is to leave the interpretation up to the viewer as to whether or not this is real. I just figured everything game related was not real, and maybe she was real, and she just was a weird girl that he met online who thought this was like some sort of blind date sort of thing, right? So and that James
And
is a real person, but he's just a homeless guy that he's paying to be his friend, basically. Things like that.
yeah, and it could also be, she goes on this date or whatever they're doing together, and she's a little bit strange, and then she realizes, wait, maybe he's too crazy for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I just, and that was kind of her, like, cope out. Like, she thought she was, playing along with the game, but then she's like, you know what, you're just a little too crazy.
This isn't a game for him,
Yeah.
or the right game that I'm thinking of. So yeah, I don't know. So I thought about that. Now throughout the movie, I was totally on his side as it being real. But there's like glimpses to things where I could see it being not real. Especially like he meets up a third person who claims they're playing the game, who's played by Gata. Shout out Gata. He's on Little Dicky's show, Dave. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Brian would have loved to see him. He pops up in little things like that, like little cameos. But anyway, he was in the movie, and he claimed like a sumo wrestler was following him in Sinbad, which is pretty funny. And then not even too long later in the movie, we see a sumo wrestler and Sinbad following him. And then too, it's like all these killers around the world, or hitmen, or whatever you want to call them, are all dressed up as different things. You know what I mean? You have ninjas, you
Yeah.
have a guy in
The
a baby
sumo.
costume. Yeah, the sumo wrestler. You have the guy in Mario suit, Ellen, dressed up as Ellen. Like different characters. It's not like just a random hitman or cowboy or whatever it is. So that could easily be in his head as to what he would think someone who's trying to kill him would look like.
Now, I read this theory online, which was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Apparently, I've done no fact checking, so don't rip me if this is not correct. But apparently, the conversion between that money, like we find out at the end of the movie, I'll just say it now, that he does win the game if it's real, and
Right.
it's $1 million. They do not tell him till the end that is in Danish currency, not or Greenlandic currency. It is not U.S. dollars, which converts not very well to U.S. dollars, as you would assume. It actually comes out
Mm-hmm.
to about $587 a month.
Wow.
And apparently, now again, I don't know. I'm not in this case, but that is
Is that
the
unemployment?
I'm down the movie conspiracy theory hole right here. That is the minimum
Mm-hmm.
amount for disability for mental illness.
Whoa.
Yeah. So maybe he's just
Wow.
getting a payment for his mental illness. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um
Wow.
yeah, isn't that interesting? Now again, I don't know the facts in that. I don't know what the actual conversion is, but this guy on Reddit, I don't remember his name, convinced me of that theory at least. And I or at least threw it in my head. I don't know if I'm convinced, but I like the idea of that as a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, even the part seeing his dad again, meeting a new girl, these are things that he wanted. Getting the answer from his ex as to what happened. Like these are all things he wanted self-consciously, and he was able to achieve those things. So it's like, is that part even in his head? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Anna Kendrick, he meets this beautiful girl that believes him, or at least says she does. It's things like that. And then like the only confirmation we ever get maybe is at the end where Wayne Brady's sitting on the couch with him, who is very famous.
Yes.
But like, is
Yeah.
that even Wayne Brady? Could they make the argument that it's just a guy that looks like Wayne Brady that his family met? You know what I mean? It's like, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
How he met Ellen.
Right. Yeah. Could it be one of those? But for us, we
Although he
just see
did,
Wayne
like,
Brady.
that's the thing. He did get his, he did get his face bashed in and he was missing his tooth, but at the end they were like, hey, we're so happy you got that fixed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not what happened.
Or maybe he did it to
Um,
himself. A little Fight Club,
yeah, maybe
right?
maybe we're going a little too deep with it and we're just thinking a little ahead.
And we could be wrong. Maybe
My
it's real. Maybe that's the whole point of it. But
Yeah, my personal take, like what I think the movie is, like without this, I did like that little theory. I think the game was real.
okay.
Personally, that was my takeaway from it. But I do like the idea right at the end there where he's like knocking again. It might have just been a clever play with the music, and I'm reading into it too deeply. But he was just knocking forever because that girl didn't exist. She was never there, or she ran away. She got scared. Who knows?
Right.
This is definitely one that, like, for an hour and a half movie, and I imagine it wasn't too high of a budget. I don't know. I mean, they got some bigger names, but I mean, Hulu original. This is an enjoyable movie.
Yes.
And it definitely
Yeah.
makes you think. It's got a good message behind it. If you know aren't looking at the mental illness side of it, if you're looking at like, I guess you could say like when he beats the game and he's in that empty room and he's looking for the desk, he kind of goes on a monologue of like, saw my dad, check mark, met this girl, check mark, I found out a lot about myself, check mark, like there's a good message there. I feel like about like perseverance or whatever, and he kind of went into this game because he was like, he literally said fuck it. Like that was his words. Like he literally said fuck it because he had nothing to lose. He was feeling caught in the monotony, I guess, of daily life.
Yeah, I mean, and to look at what the game did to him. I mean, he kind of drove his family insane. He lost a
Yep.
tooth. He lost his job. He was homeless literally for the last couple days on purpose, but like living under a bridge. You know what I mean? Like, so this game drove him insane to the point, where maybe he's actually insane. But I think the message behind the movie is like, at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, he was happier going through that experience than not going through that experience. Him going through his mundane life of the same thing over and over again, of waking up, getting on that bike, walking to work, going to a bar afterwards by himself, things like that wasn't bringing him happiness. Where going on this crazy adventure in his head, if it is in his head, was still worth it to him for that outcome. So, and I think that is the message behind the movie. And that's why I like movies like Office Space too, where it's like, this guy got so sick of his life being so boring, doing the same thing over and over again with this cushy, safe job. He went out to do other things. So shout out Office Space too. If you haven't seen that, go see it. But
We
that's
did a
what I liked
review on
about
it.
this movie was that, yeah, we did a review on it. But that's what I enjoyed about this movie was that message.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one that's prevalent being younger too. Like, you really eat that up. So
Yeah.
no, it was um, definitely enjoyable. I like the little message. I don't think we're getting a sequel to it, but they could probably, honestly, um, or do some sort of spin-off with some other people, assuming the game is real and this isn't just a crazy man. Um, you know, maybe.
Well, too, and I know Jake he's been married to his wife for like 20 years. So like, I think there was some stuff when he was writing it based off his real life. Like, when he spoke with his ex, I think they had been together for 20 plus years. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked what she said too, about them not really doing anything new. They're doing the same things together in their relationship too. And that was her problem with him, was he never wanted to do anything new. They'd go to the same restaurants, sit in the same seats, eat the same things. You know what I mean? Like that would take a toll on a person in a relationship like that, because what's to live for? What's the point of living if we're doing the same
Yeah,
thing every single day?
you'd need both people on that same page. We're both okay with that. Most people are not. Most
Right.
people want some sort of change. It doesn't have to be massive. You don't have to
No.
completely uphill your career, but if you're used to going to the same restaurant, maybe you try the one next door or something like that. So, um, yeah, I maybe as a
There's
look
probably no
into it,
romance there either, really, if you're doing, that sort of
the
stuff. You know
same
what I
thing
mean?
over and
To that
over again.
extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I even liked that a lot. And it's funny, Christopher Lloyd's in this, who plays his dad. And when he got in the car, I was just like, oh, that's Christopher Lloyd, who's a famous guy too. Probably when he was growing up watching like Back to the Future and stuff like that. And it was just his dad. So I thought that was kind
Yeah,
of
I
funny.
know. The only area I guess they like, broke the fourth wall or whatever was Andy Samberg and Wayne Brady for whatever
Yeah.
reason. Like those two were. I'm not that I'm like discrediting them, but those two were noteworthy enough that they wanted to actually just use their real name and have them be like celebrities in the movie, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I saw too, like Lonely Island was part of the production as well, which is like Andy Samberg's thing. So um, it's pretty cool. He produced it and was in it as well. Um,
That is
but
cool.
yeah, it's just, and you know what's cool about this too, and this is what I like about doing some of these Oscar movies that we're doing right now, is it's an original IP. It's not You know, like I almost don't. I hope it doesn't get a sequel, just not because I didn't enjoy the movie, but just because
Yeah,
I like it being its own thing. Do you know what I mean? So I like movies like that, and the fact that
I
it did
agree.
this, I thought was pretty cool.
Rated R as well. I'm what were the points where it would have needed?
He
Am
says
I
fuck
miss?
a lot when he's
Okay,
yelling at stuff,
so
but
just
that's pretty much it.
yeah,
I
because
think it's
I'm
just
thinking. I was thinking about it.
it's
I'm
not
like, there's
gory.
not. It's not gory. There's not any sex scenes or anything like that. Like
No.
it's. And I'm almost glad they kind of left that stuff out. I felt like that would have probably torn it away from where it's going with being a comedy. Also, they
Hmm.
even mentioned that in the movie itself, that the show that he's on is a comedy, which is really interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the DOG, the name of the supposed show. I
Hmm.
wonder. I would be curious if that has any other deeper meaning as well. You know, maybe someone find something on that. I did do a little bit of looking to try and find stuff. I don't know. I feel like it's like a clever movie. Like you know you could have different perspectives depending on how you want to take it. Like I said, my opinion, I think it was real. Um,
Yeah, I'm
but
leaning.
that's
I'm leaning. It's not.
okay. So yeah, all right. So
Yeah,
we're
we're
a
on two
little
different
split.
sides here.
We're a little split. I'm leaning towards it was real, and he is getting the, you know, whatever $1 million in Greenlandic currency. Um,
So
but
it's the five. It's the 583 or $500,
yeah,
and that's 4K every month, right?
uh,
Because I think he says he gets 4K of the Greenland money or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So
Greenland.
that converts apparently to
Okay.
500 American dollars.
Okay.
So it is
Wow.
4K Greenlandic, which converts to I guess 500 something. Again, not totally sure on that. I could look it up and confirm that, to be completely honest. But I don't
Again,
know.
though, to live in fear for 30 days, constantly watching your back that someone's going to kill you unless you're with someone else for only $1 million, I don't know if it's worth it.
Hmm.
I don't know. And especially like the way they were pitching it, like there's assassins around the world hunting you down. Some of them don't find
Yeah.
you, most of them do. It's like when you hear shit like that, I would constantly be worried I'm going to get sniped or, like I'll never even see the assassin. I'll just get killed. You know what I mean? So, and then even the two cameras we see him find easily could be rat shit or whatever. You know what I mean? Which is pretty funny
Yeah.
too.
Actually, if I did this right, that theory that I had is wrong. Because it does convert, at least right now, recording this on whatever February 12th, 13th, to about $1 million US. So, um,
Hmm.
sounds like it's still going to
See,
be.
I thought you were going to say it was the U.S. translation to like maybe what the average unemployment rate is because he is unemployed.
That would be
Um,
interesting too. That's, maybe it isn't. That number is probably different in each state.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so I don't know. I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah, because it depends. Like now, he's probably not going to be able to live with his mom because he doesn't have a job, right? And that was their agreement. And then like, is he going to date this girl? Is she not interested anymore? Like you said, you know what I mean? Maybe she did run away. Maybe she's not real. There's a lot of questions to be answered at the end of this movie. And again, with it being so short, because I checked right when he walked up to the door and there's 4 minutes left. I'm like, oh, we're probably not going to get anything like else. We might not even
No.
see her. So the fact, and
Yeah.
that's why I skipped to the after the credits because I was just like, is there anything? But I'm kind of at the end of the day happy there wasn't because it is just left open completely to the viewer.
I feel like maybe the only possible indication that maybe it's real is, James at the end says, I'll see you at the apartment.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
You know,
okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, they're living together.
so they are living together, and James looked a little bit more cleaned up. You know, um, that's the only thing I can think of. He also says, like, right before I think he knew that he was getting pulled out, um, because he, tells Tommy, "Hey, stay in this, you got this, like keep your head up in the game or whatever. He was probably already, again, I'm going on the theory that it's real. He was probably already told, hey, we're going to pull you out, try and make this a little bit more
Right.
challenging for him.
Yeah, and there's two arguments there too, right? It's like maybe Tommy is completely convinced James that this is real, and he's saying that,
Mm-hmm.
and then he goes on a little bender or something himself. I don't know. Or your take could be they actually just warned him they're going to pull him out. They did pull him out. You know what I mean? So there is kind of two different ways of looking at it for everything that happens, which is really unique.
Yeah. Maybe if it's not real, the ninjas aren't, and the ninjas aren't real in that case. That's like the little voice in his head that's telling him, hey, you know, get out of here. He was
It's
with all those
conscience,
homeless people. Yeah, that was his
right?
conscience. Maybe you should get out of here. It's a little much. Maybe you should move.
Yeah, it's not as
So
entertaining. They tell him, and then they tell him
I've
the reason they're warning him is because he's a fan favorite because he's got a good heart.
yeah, I
So
have a
he can
question
interpret that for himself.
for
Yeah,
you. Did you ever think that Maddie or Anna Kendrick was maybe an assassin or a killer?
I did. Yeah. So
Okay.
when he was warned about his situation when they're at the mom's house together, I thought there's a good chance she's probably an assassin. And then when Mario walked in, or the plumber walked in to the motel room, I thought she got up and she wasn't there. So like I don't know. Yeah, and then too, even when they're nervous to go meet the third person who's involved in the game, I thought she was worried about that too. Um, someone else taking her kill or whatever. So I did think it was going there, but then yeah, obviously it didn't. But because that would have been kind of entertaining as well. And then too, I kept thinking, Andrew, I was like, when they met at the restaurant together, and they decided to be buddies and partners, I thought, can they technically be partners if they're both in on the game and both being hunted? Because then a casual person, a citizen, isn't getting hurt. They're no threat
Yeah.
because there's none there. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the biggest mystery for me with it all is maybe that third person that they meet.
Yeah.
He didn't make it didn't make a lot of sense um, to
I mean, he could
validate.
be crazy too, though.
Yeah, and maybe that's why he was with his parent. She was also with her mom. Maybe they have to have someone look out for them. So I
Right.
don't know, kind of hard to tell. Also, he wanted to hear more. Maybe that's the confirmation that he's crazy though, and Maddie is not, because he was like, "I want to hear more. I want to hear more," and she's like, "Okay, we've heard enough about this game. Like, let's get out of here." Like, because she was, getting maybe a little scared. And actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, that's when she really wanted to dip. You know,
Right.
once she heard a little bit more about the game, she's like, I think I need to get out of here and spend some time alone. Um,
Right.
and that's when she went from like, this is a fun little date, to holy cow, I'm with someone that's has a mental illness. They're
Yeah,
insane.
who's insane. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I'm happy too. His family tried to do the intervention too, because that's what you would want to do in that situation if you're them. Because the story's
yeah,
just so unbelievable. Him
yeah,
picking up
and
his brother-in-law on the toilet was hilarious too. Forgot
yeah,
to
and
mention that. Yeah.
the cameras that he's seeing do kind of just look like blueberries.
Yeah. Or rat shit or mouse shit, whatever.
Yeah,
It is.
so
Yeah.
it
Dude,
is.
you can make the argument for pretty much every scene. I don't know. You can
Yeah,
make the
it's.
argument.
I think this is one that you could have either way. I'm leaning towards it's real, just because that's what I want to think. But I
Okay.
can definitely see the other side.
Yeah, and that's how I am too. I don't believe for certain that it's fake. You know what I mean? Like, you could sway me to either side. I'm just leaning fake, and so I'm happy it worked out this way, where we both see it kind of a little differently. Although we
Yeah,
still get the message, and still seems like we still both enjoyed it. Um,
absolutely.
But yeah, dude, I'm so happy they had that tall guy, Boban Marnichuk. He was in John Wick. I think John Wick
Mm-hmm.
3. I want to say it's John Wick 3. When they're in the library and he's the really big guy, and John Wick has to, like, he's hitting him with the books and shit like that.
Wasn't that
And
the
they have to be
start of
quiet
4?
about it. Maybe it was 4.
I don't
I
remember.
can't remember.
I know exactly
Dude,
what you're
he's
talking
great
about.
though. He's like 7 foot tall.
Yeah,
He's intense. I love that. I got as soon as I saw him, I was like, holy shit, that's him. So I was
yeah,
really excited when he was in the
pretty
movie.
recognizable. He's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, and I even put together the Michael Jackson outfit till Jake Johnson said it, but because I'm like, whoa, I'm like, they're gonna have some crazy killers after him because this is the first guy we see try to kill him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to get into your score?
Yeah. Yeah, we can roll into to scores here. I feel like we covered everything that I'd want to cover on the movie. We've kind of got a two split opinions here. I'm leaning towards it was real, but definitely can see the other side there. There's a lot of stuff backing it up with it not being real. With that said, I thought this was enjoyable. Like I said, hour 29. Cinematography, like all that was solid. I never felt like I was like, oh god, this looks cheesy or anything. Like the set design and everything. I thought it looked real. Everything looked really real. Especially I don't know exactly what the budget was on this, but being a Hulu original, I can't imagine they splurged too crazy. And if they did, most of it probably went to the actors that they had. But yeah, no, enjoyable movie. Definitely would. I'd recommend it if someone was
Yeah,
bored, just because it's not long. That's the main thing that I gotta emphasize. Like, this is not a hard watch. You do have to pay attention, but not too in depth where it's no Tenet where your brain's gonna hurt at the end. Which I think that's getting re-released
yeah,
for a rewatch. Going off on a tangent there, but uh, I'm thinking score. I didn't think about this before, but I'm gonna go 80, 83. 83.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, you're not too far off from me.
I,
I,
I didn't
I'm
I didn't think about it till right now. Actually, usually I come up with a number.
I'm shocked. It's 72 critics, 62 audience. Now, the critic one doesn't shock me as much. The audience being 62%, I wonder if that is because they never confirm whether or not it's real or not. I wonder. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. I'm just curious to
Probably.
see. Yeah,
Maybe
and I
just
could
don't
see
like
this
that
movie
open-ended
being
stuff
right,
typically.
right, and I could see this movie end up being a cult classic. Of course, it's only been out for a month, so it's hard to say now. But um, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think the fact that you can take it either way, and it still works, and we can still understand the message and still clearly both enjoy it. I think that kind of speaks volumes to it. Um,
Agreed.
it does offer somewhat rewatchability. I would maybe rewatch this again just to see different aspects. Maybe I missed certain things. We just watched this movie today, me and you.
Yeah,
Um, and I think
it's
the amount
fresh.
we've remembered is pretty good. Yeah, so I could definitely see myself rewatching this, and the fact that it's not categorized as a romance movie as well, because there's some romance in it, is a little surprising as well. But I guess Anna Kendrick's not in it a ton. I'm looking at the poster right now, Andrew, and it's with Jake Johnson with a finger gun pointing to his head. So it's not an actual gun; it's just fingers pointing to his head. That could
Mm,
symbolize it being fake as well. There's so many things, so many layers. I think Jake Johnson did a great job. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the guy. So for him to, again, write, produce, star, everything, direct, it's really cool. And I don't know if he's directed anything before. So it's an accomplishment. The fact that this guy can
absolutely.
go and do all those things is very impressive, no matter who's doing it. So I'm going to go with an 85. I enjoyed
Oh,
the
you
movie.
are right by me.
Yeah, yeah. You know, uh, I'm happy. Shout out Zach for recommending this. So I
Yeah,
think this is what we're going to try to do going forward with bonus movies. Maybe if the recommendations, maybe we try to keep them a little shorter than what our normal episodes are because bonus ones. Like I said, we're going to try to plan one or two a month on Tuesdays. Maybe most of the time it'll just be me and you doing it. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. We'll see what happens.
Um, but yeah, I think this is good. We're going to get back on the Oscar train. Try to do a couple more Oscar movies. I told Aiden this last episode, so I'm going to tell you on this episode because we still have not mentioned it to the group. Me and Aiden thought it'd be fun if for our picks episode when we're picking Oscars winners before the actual Oscars, it might be fun to do a punishment for whoever gets the most wrong. And the punishment would be like a 5-minute segment at the beginning of an episode where they're alone doing it. And they have to talk to the camera and try to come up with 5 minutes worth of good stuff. I think it'd be funny. But me and Ian thought that might be a good punishment. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that. So there's some stakes involved.
Okay.
But yeah, we're thank you for listening. Shout out Zach. And we'll see you guys on Friday.
See you.